Hey there, Carrie here, and welcome to another episode where I get to dig deeper into disrupting everything you think you know about nutrition. I love what we do here, and what we do, I know, is special and different. I always say if you want something different, you have to do something different. And so, one of the things that I know with all of my heart and with all of the women that we have worked with over the years is that your body's been trying to be your best friend. And so often we think it's just sort of an enemy. And so, if you are with me, if you are listening or watching live, I'd love for you to write in the comments, best friend. If you're listening or watching on the replay, go ahead and write it anyway, too. I love to be able to see who's with me, what you're taking away from this. So feel free to comment. I love that we are able to come at you straight through our Diet Disruptor Squad Facebook group. We're in our Disruptive Nutrition Facebook page. We're on our Disruptive Nutrition YouTube channel and in our Diet Disruptors podcast. So wherever you are, I want you to make sure that you say, hey, reach out and write best friend in the comments. So let me tell you what I mean by that, because so often we almost like just hate our bodies. And for so many years, that was true for me. I know that that was true for so many of my clients, and I know it's true for many of you. And it breaks my heart because what I know now, I just wish I could tell myself in my 20s when I had an eating disorder and felt like my entire value was absolutely caught in the number and the scale. I wish I could have told myself when I had had my first child and had gained weight during pregnancy and really struggled to be able to see my body as my best friend, because all I saw was it as something that was working against me. But what I realize as I get older, I mean, I'm closer to 50 now than I am to 40. And it's like it gets better every year because I have now a respect and an understanding of my body and the fact that we're best friends and the fact that I now know how to speak its love language. Coach Deb always talks about how what we teach is its body's love language. And yeah, with so many of the clients that we work with, we know that they don't see their body as their best friend because they keep gaining weight, or they don't have any energy, or they have these terrible cravings. And so many of these things, their body's like working against them. It's almost like their body hates them. But I need you all to see a little bit differently. It's really your body trying to protect you. All of the things that are happening because of the signals we are sending it. And we're going to dig into that a little bit today. We're actually going to talk about why I don't just teach people how to eat anymore. Because as much as we think that's the answer, as much as we think that's what we need, just tell me how to eat, Carrie. All right, I understand you want to talk about balancing your blood sugar. Exactly. Just tell me how to do that. There's so many reasons why I don't just teach women how to eat anymore. And one of the major ones is because we need to understand more of our entire being, of who we are, of not just this body as a number reflected by gravity on a scale, right? Like that's all your weight is, your, like, how much gravity you have down on the earth. I will say, though, I know that when we are gaining weight, when we have all sorts of kind of issues around our skin, our energy, our gut health, all of these things, that is our body talking to us. We just don't do a very good job of listening to it. So we have to work on our entire self, but very, very, very firstly, primarily, what we have to do is see that our body actually isn't our enemy, hasn't been working against us. Everything that we're experiencing, everything that's happening to us is a reflection of our body trying to protect us. Think about this. When our body produces fat cells, it's in an effort very often to protect ourselves from, say, toxins. Fat cells actually have a purpose. And by storing those toxins that we put in our bodies, it protects us from those toxins running rampant inside of us. By our our cravings and our lack of sleep and all the skin issues, that is our body trying to react and trying to balance itself and trying to let us know that what we're doing isn't serving us. How about this? I just had a phone call recently, just last week with somebody, and she had said to me, no, you don't understand. I do listen to my body. I eat when I'm hungry. I'm just not hungry until probably like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I don't eat until then because my body is telling me I shouldn't. And I'm thinking, yes and no. So here's the problem. When we're not speaking our body's love language, our body's giving us signals and we don't really know what it's saying. We don't really know what the issue is. Take Susan, for example, who had all sorts of issues for so many years around certain like swelling in her ankles. And she had gone to doctors. They put her on diuretics. It was literally years where they could not figure out what was going on. She came and worked with us and understood more about her body, learned how to eat in a way that served her body. Not only did she see progress in all of the things that she thought she really wanted around, inches around her body and more energy and things like that, but I think she just believed that that extra swelling was just there and it had nothing to do with what she ate. Well, as she started working with us, the swelling went away. But she didn't know exactly why. What was it that she was doing that was making the shift? Well, I would say about 6 weeks into working with us, she had integrated a certain type of food back in, and immediately her ankles blew up. And she looked at her husband. They were at dinner, and she said, well, that is my body telling me exactly what it does not want me to do. And so now she responds by listening to her body. Her body wasn't working against her. Her body was actually talking to her. She had no idea. Doctor after doctor did not suggest nutrition and food as part of the solution. So let's go back to that woman I was telling you about who said, I try to listen to my body, but I'm just not hungry. Well, this is the best analogy. I think if you are a parent, write me in the comments, okay? Because I want to see which ones of you will totally be able to relate to this. I mean, think about this. How many times, like I have two teenage girls. One is like super organized with her room, and the other, it's like, since she was little, it's been just a fight to be like, girl, please, you got to clean your room. She lost her room once, literally lost the privilege of having a room because it was just so messy. Well, she's 17 years old now, and it's almost like I'm just done yelling about it. I'm actually just looking at it now like I got one more year before she goes to college, and we're just going to embrace it. And sometimes I go in there and even tidy it up myself when I know that there's company coming, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm just done yelling about it because she's not going to do it. And so I either have to adjust my expectations or go do it myself. Well, that's what happens with our body. Our body's like foundational goal is to have its blood sugar stabilized. And it will do it in one of two ways, either with food or on its own. It's much less efficient at doing it on its own. And for years and years and years, pretty much our whole life, because we've never been taught about this, we work against our body because we don't help it along by helping to balance its blood sugar with food. So if you go without eating, and at some, the first, few times you really do that, you're going to be hungry. But if you just stop feeding it and you wait until 11 or 12, your body was sending you hunger signals telling you, hey, my blood sugar's low. And you've kind of been ignoring it. So now it says, just like my teenager ignores me when I say clean your room, and I just stop yelling about it, your body just kind of stops yelling about it. And so it stops communicating with you in the way that you can understand. And you think, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. So that's good, right? Well, no, your body is now balancing its blood sugar on its own, and it's getting tired. I often say it's like a single mom who's raising 10 kids on her own. No dad in the picture. Okay. You are a single mom working, raising 10 kids. You are going to get tired. Little things are going to set you off, right? Like, I don't know, somebody, spills milk. Can't cry over spilled milk. You're going to cry over spilled milk. Little things are going to set you off when you're tired, when you're done, right? Well, if your body has to keep working to balance its blood sugar all on its own, and not only are you not helping it, but you're actually making it harder for your body to be able to do this, it's going to respond. It's going to respond in a way that is not going to allow you to thrive. So imagine that same single mom. Now the dad comes back. And let's say maybe, I don't know, maybe he was a soldier and he was off in war and now he's back and he's like, oh my gosh, I am here for you. And he just cleans up the milk and helps with the laundry and helps with the cooking and financially helps with the bill. And suddenly now that single mom isn't feeling quite as stressed around the little things that pop up, can handle the little things that pop up because she's got that help. Think about your body. You now learn how to balance your blood sugar through food in the way that we teach. It's kind of like getting some extra help. It's like being able to function at a much higher level because you're not doing it all yourself. And then think about it. When you do go off plan, when you have soul-filling food, because remember, food is not good or bad, not healthy or unhealthy. Food serves our body and food serves our soul. So you do a soul-filling meal because you are just in it and it's intentional. Your body can handle it. It's not so tired because it's been on this blood sugar roller coaster. And when your body has to work on its own because you're not helping it along with food and it gets tired, that's where you start to see your lack of energy. Your sleeping is impacted. Your brain fog, gaining weight. It's all in an effort to protect you from yourself. It's all in an effort to say, all right, kids, come on, we got to do it another day. We know we're not getting any help, but we love her. So we're going to help her along. So the communication is very muffled. It's very hard to listen to your body when you're not speaking the same language. And so when your body is responding in the way that you don't love, it is not because it's working against you. It's because it's trying so hard to be your best friend. And you might not be giving it as much love back. And there's no way you can serve others, which is what I always talk about. Our purpose on earth is not to find the right diet, but it's to live purposely, serving others, doing something that we were uniquely placed on this earth to do. And I guarantee you it wasn't to find the right diet. So that being said, this is why I don't just teach women how to eat anymore. I used to give women a meal plan. This is how you eat. This is how you balance your blood sugar. PFC every 3. Go. Eat these foods. Don't eat those foods. Well, my goodness, don't you know? I would have women that would come to me and they were so motivated. And they're like, I want to learn how to eat in the way that you teach. And in the early years, it was all referral after referral after referral. And women were seeing so much success. Couldn't believe how simple it was. Couldn't believe how easy it was. But then it was amazing because even though their body started talking to them and they could understand what it was saying. Now, I think it's like learning a new language. Those of you that have been around for a while, you might remember years ago, back well before the COVID, I picked up my family. When I say family, actually, it was just my girls. My husband stayed back and I moved to Mexico for a year. I wanted my girls to learn Spanish and they were not happy about it. And we picked them up. I put them in a school. I got a car, an apartment, a bank account, and I speak Spanish, but it isn't. I learned Spanish. I lived in Mexico actually when I was a teenager. So it had been a really long time. Like I was there when I was 18 and I spent 5 summers there. So, oh boy, in my 40s going back, I had to relearn a whole lot, right? But what I would say is obviously my kids who went there, they were miserable for a while, but learned Spanish and speak it better than I do now. But I say that to you because these women, it was like they learned this new language, but inevitably life got chaotic. Life threw them curveballs. We weren't realizing that our actions are dictated by our thoughts and our beliefs. Now, why didn't I realize that? I don't know. I had been a mindset coach and a behavior specialist for over 20 years in the education sector. But when I was teaching women how to eat, I was so motivated, and they were so motivated that I was like, this is no problem. We just show you how to eat and you just scoot along. You got this. They came back. Some of them, didn't, but a bunch of them would come back after 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. When I would check in with them, they're like, oh, yeah. It was kind of like they just stopped speaking Spanish. They're like, yeah, life got so busy, or this happened, or that happened. Lots of reasons, but all kept them from being able to do this for the long term. Now, with a diet, or when we're not balancing our blood sugar, you literally can't do it for the long term. Your body won't let you. Your body will just keep sending you signals until there are no more signals to send it. However, with the approach that we teach, when we talk about PFC every 3 and balancing your nutrients, having the right nutrients in the right portions at the right frequency, understanding the blueprint of what our body needs. I mean, it's easy to think that I could do this forever. Every single woman I worked with, when I would just teach them about food and how to eat, they were like, I can do this forever. This is totally not a diet. This is amazing. Motivation starts to wean when life gets hard. Or if any of you have been in a relationship before, the relationship's always new in the beginning, right? Or if you get married and you're on the honeymoon, eventually the marriage sets in and you're like, oh, this is a little bit hard. And it wasn't that the eating was hard, but just hard to stay consistent, right? How many of you ever say, I know what to do, I just don't do it? How many? Say me in the comments if that is you. I know what to do, I just don't do it. Well, I will always argue, unless you are eating in the way that we teach, you don't know what to do. We can tweak it and all that, but it's nuanced and it's specific and it's special and simple, but very special and nuanced and specific and amazing. And there's always still, I'd say when you know you can do, but you don't always do it. Why? Because life gets in the way. We have never actually really been taught how to stick with something forever. When we plateau, we're like, oh, this isn't working anymore. And then we go look for another thing. We keep chasing something different. And yet I still will have women call me 8, 9 years later and be like, oh, Carrie, yours was the only thing that really was sustainable. I didn't keep up with it because blank. It was never because I can't do it forever. In fact, the 3 questions that we always ask is, 1, is it designed in science, or is based in science, designed for your body to thrive? 2, would you let your kids do it? And 3, can you do it for the rest of your life? I don't know any other approach that you could answer yes to all of those questions with, but do we do it for the rest of our lives? Everybody will say to me, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I can do this for the rest of my life. But then when they don't, is it because the approach wasn't right? No. Is it because you just don't have any willpower? No. Is it because it's your fault you lost motivation? No. So much more than that. And for those reasons, I do not just teach women how to eat. It's literally the very first part of the entire puzzle. Everyone thinks that's what they need. And it's so emphatically true. And everything that I know, I cannot in good conscience just teach women simply how to eat anymore. Because let me tell you what keeps me up at night. Showing you how to eat, which I could sit down with you in a couple hours and be like, here you go. Now, basic foundations, we have to troubleshoot, we have to live it, we have to see how your body responds, learn how to listen to your body, all of that kind of stuff. But the foundational stuff I could teach you super fast. However, I mean, at the end of the day, that's not going to matter if you don't really understand all the aspects of what it takes. I call it the trifecta. Body, we need to understand what goes on in our body, and the nutrition, while it is the foundation. And if you don't have that, the rest of it's not going to really fall into place. but it's only 1 out of 6 areas within the body we need to be focusing on. Then we know that the things that we do are dictated really because of our thoughts and our beliefs. So we have to take that into consideration when we're thinking about what to do. What to do has to be connected with what we think and believe. And if we don't dig into what we think and believe, we're never going to do. And then finally, do we really know how to do things forever? Do we have systems and habits? Do we understand our triggers? Do we understand our personality? Do we understand how to integrate a lifestyle into a life that will not always be conducive to a lifestyle? I mean, life happens, right? And just like I always say this about what we teach, it's like, it can't just be, I don't think about it anymore. I mean, we don't track, we don't count calories. We're not going to do those things. We're not going to deprive ourselves, but we do have to be intentional. So we have to be able to show up no matter what life throws at us. I always say, don't you brush your teeth every night, regardless of the chaos that's in your life, right? That's what this lifestyle has to be like, because positive interactions consistently over time is what builds trust back with your body, so that you and your body can actually communicate in a way that it was meant to. So let's take a look, for those of you that are watching, at the blueprint and why I don't teach women just how to eat anymore. It's got to be more than that. And if you are looking for an approach, if you are like, I don't know, I'm just going to go, search the Facebook or try all these random stuff, I can promise you're not going to get anywhere. It's why our free Facebook group is so important to me. We dig into the blueprint on every single episode. And then we get super specific. If you end up joining our family, we will take you to a whole nother level. But look, our blueprint, look at where this all falls. Mind, body, sustainability. And I say it in that order because while body is a huge part of this, right? Like, what do we need to do for our body? The mindsets are what hold together our ability to actually understand and do the things. And then our mindsets are the ways in which we actually are able to commit to doing something forever. So let's look at this for 1 second. And I've done a couple shows on our blueprint. I have a 3-part episode about that where I break this down really, really specifically. But take a look at body. There are 6 areas. I call them the 6 spinning plates that we always have to be spinning. Nutrition is the foundation. It's why when clients work with us, we start there. Now, it's almost like it spirals, because it's not like it starts there and then moves on to something else. All of these things, it's almost like just mixing. Have you ever seen when you just mix a whole bunch of paints together, in a can, and it swirls? Oh my gosh, that's what this ends up being like. But we have to get that food as a foundation. Exercise, sleep, stress, water, supplementation. So many aspects that we have to learn about and be able to analyze the quality of how we're implementing it in a way that is super simple. And then in our mindsets, you have to be able to understand success in every day, not success in some day. That confidence that comes with what you're doing is right. That confidence totally breeds more results and more confidence, self-awareness, intentionality, and really understanding why you want to do this. I ask women this all the time. Why do you want to lose weight? Oh, I just feel better at a certain weight. And I always talk about the fact that, is this coming from your ego or is it coming from your heart? Put that in the comments, ego or heart. You need to think about that. If it is ego, then you're coming at it from a place that is never going to serve you long term. And if it is coming from ego, that's fine, but we need to work on that, because you need to love yourself enough to know that you have to take care of you so that you can take care of others. It's got to be deeper than a number on the scale that are fitting into a dress and looking a certain way at a wedding. That's ego. Heart comes from knowing that 90% of people, 9 out of 10 deaths, 88% actually of people right now are dying from metabolic disease in their 60s and 70s, all stemming from Every metabolic disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, any of that all stems from a dysregulated blood sugar. And wanting to know, I want to be there for my kids. I want to be an old lady who dies asleep in her bed rather than this lack of quality of life because I cared so much about ego, but because I cared so much more about things that really weren't serving me and I didn't do it right and well. And then when we have to, when we, as part of this whole process, we have to understand how to do it for the rest of our lives, getting our habits in, our time management. So time does not control us, but we control time. Otherwise, we will be a victim to our circumstances, and our systems are in place to know that we can show up regardless of what life throws at us. I think about Donna, who was on our podcast a while ago, and she learned how to eat, literally learned PFC every 3 years and years ago by the Mark McDonald himself, who is now one of my best friends, but my original mentor and coach, who literally wrote a New York Times best-selling book about your body, food, worked with him, saw that it worked, was really excited. Mom died, lived at Cinnabon, so drowned her sorrows in Cinnabon, came out of a deep kind of place, got off track, tried to get back on, didn't do it by herself or thinking about what she had learned previously. She ended up hiring 3 more dietitians, and she ended up gaining more weight, again, a symptom of health and hormones, because she was depriving herself. And the whole time she's like, I know this wasn't right. I knew this wasn't right. She couldn't put her finger on. She had so long ago just kind of followed a plan and didn't really learn it. She then saw a podcast that Mark and I had done years ago. I think maybe it was around COVID. And she was like, oh my gosh. And I was talking about mindset. I was talking about sustainability. I was talking about all the aspects of what our bodies needed. And she got in touch with us and started working with us. Not only, I mean, if you look at the podcast, it's about Donna, the medium, because at one point she had been, doing the extra extender on the seatbelts in an airplane, and now she's wearing a medium. But that wasn't it. It wasn't about ego. It was all about heart for her. She dug in and realized that when I really truly understand myself and my thinking and my sustainability is there and strong, I don't have to rely on motivation. And she didn't even realize how powerful her journey was or how much progress she had made beyond the medium. She didn't realize how much progress she had made until tragedy struck her. And her best friend and her father died within a week and a half of each other. And this was just a couple of months ago. And she still showed up for herself. She said by eating correctly and by spinning those plates and continuing her systems and by keeping her mindset strong, she felt more in control. She didn't live at Cinnabon anymore. She showed up and she grieved her way through showing up for herself. If I had just taught her how to eat, if I had just given her a meal plan, she would have been at Cinnabon again. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a good Cinnabon, but that can't be the way that we handle the stress, because again, it's not about the weight on the scale. It's not about ego. It's about loving ourselves so much, understanding that our body is our best friend. And then in order to have a relationship with it, we have to meet it halfway. We have to help them to pick up the slack of all the things that they've been doing for us for decade after decade after decade that we keep fighting. We're the ones fighting our body, not the other way around. So if I just taught you how to eat and just said, eat this, don't do this, this is how you do it, that is what keeps me up at night, because you will not stick to it. You will not have done the work that you need to do to truly undo the decades and decades of disordered eating, of disordered thinking, and of having really very few systems that help you live a lifestyle that will be sustainable forever. And you're going to fall off and you're going to think it didn't work and you're going to go look for something else. So I'd rather you go around the mountain a few more times until you're truly ready. But what makes me nervous about that is that with every day that you are not balancing your blood sugar, you're putting yourself more and more at risk for not only speeding up the age train, but for literally being one of those 9 out of 10 people who are dying of a metabolic disease. I can't tell you how many people I've heard from just this past week who have A1C levels that are kind of out of control, pre-diabetic. That is not okay. Do we realize that once we have the diabetic diagnosis, we are we are more likely than not to have dementia. You will not die that old lady asleep in your bed after living a fulfilled life. So many women get frustrated sometimes with me because they're like, why can't I just learn how to eat? Why can't I just go to your website and buy a program? Because it's not going to work. It's not going to work in the way that I define working. And I just want to share my definition is about you truly being able to transform into the person that you were always meant to be, but you just got stuck very often because you have been lied to about what we need. And if you have not made a habit after decades and decades of living a certain way, then we got to do something different. And the meal plan is not going to be it. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And in fact, one of the things that I'm excited to tell you about is that we have been working all summer on a variety of very, very cool projects. We are up-leveling our learning portal where our clients are in. We are doing a whole bunch we're getting some new t-shirts and swag and all sorts of great things. So I can't wait to share that with you. But one thing that I have been asked for over and over again is the fact that our podcasts just offer a lot of teaching and a lot of value, and to be able to learn and build upon your learning. I mean, if you haven't been following us for that long, go back to the beginning of our podcast. I mean, if you just go at each one, you're going to learn so much. And so we've developed a coaching call notebook. So you can consider this like a coaching call. And we do these coaching calls with our members and our clients all the time. We dig deep, and obviously becomes more personal than, streaming out to all of you. But I still want you to be able to take down what we're talking about, marinate on it, and think through, okay, how am I going to take a little bit of what either Carrie or her guests are sharing so that I can start to, with 1% progress every single day, really make the progress that I know I need? Not thinking about a goal for one day, but thinking about today, thinking about every day, seeing success in every day, not in one day when eventually it happens, by recognizing that when you can have success every single day, even if you make a little move, it is going to make a huge difference over time. So if you want that coaching call notebook, I will put a link in the comments here, and you can go and grab that and then use that as sort of like your guide. Take notes. It allows you to look at the action items that you're going to do as a result of our coaching call, and be in an area just for reflections through the week. What I like to say is, when I learn something, I want to marinate on it for a little while. It's why I'll only come once a week, give you learning, email you about it the next day, and allow you time to marinate on it so you can really reflect and think about that trifecta: mind, body, sustainability, and how each one of those areas you can work on a little bit each day to truly, truly transform your life so you can go do the things that you were meant to do. Remember, wherever you are in your journey, there's a place for you at Disruptive Nutrition. So if you want to get on a call with one of our coaches just to talk through a few ideas, talk through some reflections, great. If you want to talk to us about how we can work together, great. If you want to grab a coaching notebook and say, okay, I'm going to take the free content each and every week and I'm going to learn from that, great. You can go slow, you can go fast, but just go and recognize that we are here to serve. And we absolutely know that if you just dig in a little bit, you're going to disrupt your nutrition and get something very different than what you've been getting in the past. All right, you guys, I'd love to know what you think. Put some comments in there. And if you do want information about that coaching call notebook, I'll put it in here, but you could also put a comment in coaching call notebook and we can send you the link that way too. All right, you guys, we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.